So this is Elemental Sounds Masterclass French, lecture number 4. We're going to focus today on the French consonants. And the objective of today's lecture is to develop a physical awareness of consonant articulation. So in the other lectures, you develop an awareness of tongue position, how your lips work to make rounded vowels, even how your velum moves to create oral and nasal articulation. Now we're going to develop that same kind of physical awareness of all the players involved in creating consonant sounds. And then we're also going to mentally organize the concepts of consonant articulation. You're going to see how place of articulation is related across all the different sounds of French, how the manners relate, how different phonations relate. By having these concepts organized in your head, you have that stronger conceptual understanding, which leads to you learning to hear and pronounce faster, which of course is the end goal here, for you to learn how to conceptualize, hear, and pronounce each and every French consonant sound. We have our uvular consonants. These are the ones that people are most interested in when they learn French. For the uvular consonants, so the soft palate, if you want to feel the soft palate, we went over it last time, but hard palate's here, the hard part, walk your tongue back, it starts to get soft. Once it's soft, that whole region is the soft palate. You have muscle there that, can elevate and retract the soft palate up and down to make the nasal vowels and oral vowels. But at the very end of the soft palate, you have that little dangly thing. That dangly, I always think about like a punching bag, because when I watched Looney Tunes as a kid, and I have a memory of like someone like kind of punching the uvula of like a lion or some kind of giant animal. So that's the punching bag in the back of your mouth, I think dangling there. That's the uvula. So for uvular consonants, you're moving the back of your tongue to the uvula, which means you're using the same part of the tongue that you use when you make the k, g sounds, the velar consonants, k, g, except the uvular is deeper. So if this is the back of your tongue and this is like the dangly uvula, maybe you have it backwards, so it should be like this. It's too confusing for me. This is the back of the tongue, and this is the dangling uvula, and then the rest of my fingers is soft palate. When I say k, 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 I'm kind of going up like that, k, k, k. But when I do this uvula, I'm going directly back, r, 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 k, 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 r, r, r. Okay? So you have to develop an awareness. The trick to getting this sound is developing an awareness first of point number 5, the back of your tongue, which you use all the time to make the k, k, and the g sounds in English. That part of your tongue you need to develop an awareness of. Once you have an awareness of it, then you can control it to, instead of going up at an angle, to go directly back to come into contact with your uvula, r, r. And we have 3 uvular sounds that I identify in French. The first is the voiceless uvular fricative from trois, croix, proche, and you notice these sounds sound a bit dirtier, like that's because it's your punching bag, like kind of smacking around, right? Trois, croix, proche. Okay, that's the voiceless version. And you'll notice the voiceless version occurs next to voiceless consonants like t, k, p, trois, croix, proche. Then we have the voiced version, voiced uvular fricative, rouge, drôle, bravo, grosse. You'll usually hear this one more often at the beginning of words, in the middle of a word. Your voice is actually activated during it, and then especially when next to voiced consonants like the d, b, and g. Drôle, bravo, grosse, right? Grosse. A lot of people I hear, they'll say de ro, like de rôle or bravo, and they'll turn off their voicing in between the first consonant and the next vowel. You don't want to do that. It sounds a bit off to people. You got to continue your same voicing the whole time. Bravo, bravo, gros, drôle, r, r. All right. Then finally, the last one I include in here is a voiced uvular approximant. Now the approximant, you'll learn what that means a bit later, but basically what it means is the back of the tongue comes close to the uvula, but doesn't really touch it. It kind of fakes it out and then kind of goes back, but it restricts the airflow, therefore we perceive the consonant. So car, argent, parce que, these are not, when I use these example words, I'm not saying that these words are always going to be approximate. In fact, most of the time, they'll probably be the normal uvular fricative. They'll say car, argent, parce que. But what I find is that when French people speak really fast, very often they're so much in a hurry that the back of their tongue doesn't actually make contact with the uvular, which by definition means it's not a fricative but an approximant. Approximate meaning it gets close but doesn't touch. Why am I including this? Why is this important? Because I find that there's a lot of examples, a lot of times where you want to mimic a French speaker when they talk very fast, but you're not able to do it. It's like, man, this is so fast, and they have all these R sounds in it, I can't get to it. The reason being, they're actually skipping those R sounds. They're kind of dropping them or doing an approximate, which takes less energy, less movement. When you have less energy and less movement, it takes less time. When you have less time to make the sound, you can speak faster. So if someone's speaking really fast, sometimes you can't even mimic it with a full fricative because you don't have time to make it. And so that's why people get stuck. How do you do it so fast? The trick is to cheat. They're cheating, so you cheat the same way they cheat, right? You're trying to converge. And they're cheating and they're not making the full sound. But a French person will not be aware of this. They will not be aware they're doing this. If you ask them to repeat themselves, they won't really get it. So you say, they're like, parce que je suis ici car les problèmes ne viennent pas. And car. And oh, he said car, he didn't say car. And he's like, no, say it again, car. And he'll articulate a strong car, and he'll articulate a strong uvular fricative. But in reality, at that moment, he didn't actually make it. He did like a quick kind of, I think about it like in basketball when you like kind of fake your opponent, like, and then they jump for the ball and then you shoot it again. So it's like a little pump fake kind of movement. So you want to, that's why I include it in this course, because you want to master that subtler movement as well. That will help you speak fast. There's one other uvular consonant, which I don't include here, which is the uvular trill, which you will get in certain accents. People trill a lot more. A trill is when you place the tongue, you place the back of the tongue against the uvula and get the airflow directed at a perfect kind of air pressure that causes the thing to vibrate really quickly like this. Okay, so you might hear a lot of accents. I believe like the north of France maybe. They trill a lot. Also, I didn't include as well in certain dialects of French, like specifically like in West Africa and stuff. They do what's called an alveolar trill with the tip of their tongue, and they'll say mon frère, and they'll use that part of the tongue. I didn't include that, but if you're interested, you can check it out. We have other videos in my other courses for the alveolar trill. But yeah, the uvular trill, if you really want to get it, for me, it just kind of comes naturally once I got the fricative. I was not able to get this sound until I was, I guess, 23 when I first learned French. So most of my life, I was not able to get the sound, but then I learned this stuff. I conceptualized it. I made the connection between the back of the tongue being the sound and the soft palate, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm aware of that part of my tongue, I'm now aware that I'm moving it up. So what if instead of moving it up, I focused on moving it directly back? So instead of and then you fool around enough, you can get it perfect to get a trill. But once again, that sound and the Spanish, I was not able to do either of those sounds until I was already adult speaking these languages. So that's just to let you know that if you can't do it now, it's not because the thing is, when you have a lot of kids or a lot of people just naturally can do this sound, I think it's because we do it a lot for like animal, like, like all that kind of stuff. So some people can naturally do it. My brother and my mother could both do it my whole life, despite never having to use these sounds in English. So some people can do it, and that might lead you to believe that like some people can naturally do it and some others can't. But that's not true. There's nobody in France who can't make this sound. All right, it can't be a genetic thing, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's just something that you haven't practiced yet. Now that you can conceptualize it, you just got to experiment, spend a lot of time just fooling around trying to get the sounds, and then eventually it'll start to click. Once you get that first version, you just have to nurture it, practice it over and over again, get it increased control. Over time, you'll be able to hit these sounds, hit them quickly, and then mimic French speakers and do their accent perfect. So that's my spiel on the uvular consonants. We've had 15 vowels 23 consonants for a total of 38 elemental sounds of French. Everything you will hear a French person, or at least in France, saying can be broken down into these elemental sounds. If you're able to hear and pronounce each and every one of them, you'll be able to better lock into French speaking, understand more, speak more clearly, speak faster, and you're going to be able to learn to hear and pronounce these things much quicker with the conceptual understanding that I try to give to you in these lectures. And you take that with the drills in the drill section, then one by one you will identify which elemental sounds in French you struggle with, and one by one knock them out. Conceptualize, hear, pronounce, master, done. Move on to the next one. Conceptualize, hear, pronounce, master, done. So you got all 38. Then you focus your energy in the next step of mastering French speech and hearing and pronunciation, which is about syllable capacity, sentence capacity. How do these elemental sounds weave together and flow together into full French sentences?